Hi, my name is Daryl Parks. I'm the reference librarian at the Donald K. North Library, and I'm going to show you around a few resources that will be helpful to you as nursing students here at Heritage University. We're going to start at the very beginning. This is the university's main page, and I'm going to show you how to get to the library page from there. There's a link up here in the upper right-hand corner that will take you straight there. There's also a link on MyHeritage, which I imagine you'll be spending a fair amount of time on. But this is the most direct way to go. I'm going to show you three tools, but thing number 0.5 is the contact information that's on the main page. We've made it very easy to get in touch with us because we want you to ask us questions if you need help. There are a couple of different ways that you can do this, actually about 4. We have a chat service, which is down right now because I'm away from my desk. Anytime I'm not at my desk, you'll see this message instead. There'll be a link that lets you email me. If I were at my desk, you'd actually see a chat window and you'd be able to use it to chat with me. You can reach me at chat normally between 8 and 5 every weekday. If you email me during 8 and 5, I'll try to get back to you within an hour. If you email me after hours, I'll try to get back to you that day, but within reason. If you email me at 10 at night, I'm getting ready for bed, so I'll be asleep. Sorry. My email address is also down here, as well as the email addresses of other people who work at the library. This is the number you can reach me at between 8 and 5, and of course you can always come by my desk and just ask me questions. You can also text me, which will go to our chat interface, but when I reply, I'll text you. It'll be a text back to you. You'll get an instant reply between 8 and 5 during the day. After hours, we won't see the text until we actually get back to our desks, and we'll reply to you then. So keep an eye out for our texts that next morning if you text us after hours, not email, but text. So I really encourage you to take me up on this. Helping students is a big part of what I do. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So you're not bothering me, you're not pestering me, you're not being a pain. I really want you to ask for help if you need it. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the resources, and we're going to start with Primo. Primo is our discovery service. It lets you search all of our holdings at once, all of our online holdings anyway. And the easiest way to show you how it works is to actually show you how it works. So I'm going to type my search into our Primo box here and then press go. And it'll take a moment to think. But here we are at Primo's interface. We're seeing a list of everything that Primo has on asthma, which means everything that the library has digitally on asthma, as well as books in our collection. If we need a particular kind of source, we can restrict our results to, say, peer-reviewed journals like this one. And that bounces out a certain number of hits. We can further refine our results. We can say we only want things after 1997, for example, which actually doesn't narrow it down all that much. We can also narrow it by subject. So if we're interested specifically in asthma in children, we can click asthma in children and limit our results solely to articles that are about that. These filters stack up. If you want to get rid of one, you just have to press X, like so. So now that we have our results, what do we do with them? Well, if you click on View Online, you can see which databases that article is available through. If we click on this, it'll take us to that article. This is somewhere we can get access to it. Everything you'll find in Primo is available through one database or another. Primo itself just connects you to those databases. And everything is available free through the school, with the exception of stuff in Elsevier's Science Direct collection. They have a small amount of free content, but most of what they offer you have to pay for. Don't pay them. Talk to us. We can find a way around that. Primo casts a very wide net, which can be both a good and a bad thing. Primo will give you a lot of results on just about any topic you punch in, but it sometimes takes some digging to find the results that are most relevant. Or a lot of application of filters in order to find articles that are actually useful to you. Primo is also most useful for finding scholarly articles or for searching the catalog. If you need something else, well, that's what the next thing I'm going to show you is for. So we're going to go back to the university library page, and then we're going to go to our peer-reviewed or scholarly tab. This is a list of subject guides which collect all of the resources we have for a particular discipline and put them in one place. If we click on the one for nursing and then click on online resources, these are all the digital resources we think would be helpful for nursing students. I'm going to show you the Gale Virtual Reference Library, and it's going to ask me to sign in because I'm doing this from off campus. This is the same thing you'll need to do when you access this from off campus. And no, I don't remember my password. Good. I'm showing you this because Gale has a lot of medical information. What these are encyclopedias and other reference books that are meant to give you background information about your topic. When you first begin a research project, you sometimes need to do some basic research. You need to know if we're working with asthma, for example, since I'm going to use asthma repeatedly as a search term throughout this. You may not know everything you need to know about asthma. You may not know what causes it or what can cause an attack. You may not know how people get it or what determines whether people have it. All of this is very basic information, and scholarly articles usually won't talk about it. They will assume that you already know this. But you can find yourself very confused if you're reading scholarship on a topic you don't have a basic familiarity with. And these are really good resources for that sort of thing. I'm going to click on the medicine titles to show you what I mean. This is the sort of thing that a lot of people use sites like WebMD or Mayo Clinic or Wikipedia for. The reason I would encourage you to look at these resources as an alternative is this. I'm going into the Gale Encyclopedia of Medicine, and I'm going to click on the contributors list. This is people that have written articles for this encyclopedia, and one of the things that will jump out at you is the number of people that have PhDs, medical degrees, master's degrees in science, and so on. And many of those that don't write about science or medicine for their living. These are knowledgeable people, and they're all putting their names out there so you can associate these articles with their names. Many of the other resources that I mentioned earlier, like WebMD or Wikipedia, don't obscure the names of the people that write for them. Or in Wikipedia's case, there's really no way to know unless you happen to know what someone's real name is and can connect it to their screen name. So these articles are written by people that are knowledgeable, and I encourage you to think of this as a more credible alternative. We're going to look up asthma in here, and I want you to pay attention to what kind of information we find in the article that we look at. So this is their article on asthma, and again, this is mostly basic information. This is what asthma consists of. This is a description, how many people suffer from it in the United States, different types of asthma, causes and symptoms. One useful function of an encyclopedia is picking up key terms. These are words that people that are knowledgeable about asthma use to write about asthma. And knowing that vocabulary can help you do better searches when it's time for you to look for scholarly literature. It's also just important to know what these words mean because, again, scholarship is going to use them without telling you what they mean or what their definition is. The last thing that you can use these encyclopedia articles for is that they'll often cite their sources or give you the names of organizations that have more information. This article is a summary of sort of what's commonly understood or known about asthma, and this is where they got that information, so that could be a next step for your research. One other thing about encyclopedias, and that is that they're generally not good sources for research papers. Because they summarize existing information and because all the information in them ultimately comes from somewhere else, they don't add anything new or argue anything. They try to remain neutral. And so they're not really good resources for scholarly papers. You wouldn't necessarily cite this, rather, not write it. You write about it, but you wouldn't necessarily cite it. You would have to, if you got a piece of information from this, of course, you would need to cite it. But generally you want to cite books about asthma or scholarly articles about asthma. These articles are useful for your understanding so that you can better understand the scholarship once you start reading it, and so you can make the connection between the things the scholarship is saying and the basic things you already know. Speaking of scholarship, the last thing that I want to show you is also on the Nursing Online Guide. It's CINAHL Plus with full text. CINAHL is the sort of premier nursing and allied health database, both because it has a lot of full text content and because it often has the most recent content. This is really important in the medical field. Medical information doesn't remain current for very long, so it's very important to have access to things published in the last few years because anything older than that is often outdated. Unlike other EBSCO databases that you may have used before, CINAHL has this function called suggest subject terms. I'll get into that in a future video. For now, we just want to turn that off. That's a complicated, advanced search tool that's very, very useful, but if you're new to this, then it's more than you probably want to tangle with right now. Let's search for asthma in here. And by default, we have full text turned on, and we're going to turn on scholarly as well. These are ways you can filter your search. What I'm telling it is that I don't want to see any article that I can't immediately get to, and I don't want to see any article that hasn't been published in a peer-reviewed nursing journal. So all the articles I have here, I'm looking at here, I can get to. I can open the PDF full text and read the actual article. If I click on one of these articles, what I'm looking at right now is the article record. This is actually how the database uses my search terms to find articles for me. It looks for my term, asthma, and it looks in all the text that I'm highlighting in order to find it, just like how Google looks for your search term in the text of all of the web pages that it indexes. It doesn't look in the actual article. This is important to know. It only looks in this title and author and abstract and so on. And that's sort of all it's able to see. If we want to make use of this article, we can open the PDF full text, and from there we can save it or print it. You want to save it or print it from the PDF full text, and the only reason I'm not actually showing you this process is because it works. I'm doing this on a Mac, and it works a little bit different on a Mac. Don't use the save and print button over here. That saves or prints this abstract, not the full article. If you want to find more articles like this one, which is a common problem when you're doing scholarly research, you can make use of these keywords here. Every article in CINAHL is indexed with words that describe what it's about. And CINAHL actually divides these into, this article is primarily about obesity, asthma, severity of illness, and quality of life, and it touches on these other things. It's about both men and women, it's a systematic review, body mass index is involved, etc. Someone goes through and looks at each article and says, you know, this article is mostly about these things and sort of mentions these other things, but they're not as important. The reason that's helpful is that if we're interested in asthma, if we click on asthma here, it'll do what's called a subject search and give us, this is fewer results than we were seeing before, but remember, before we were just doing a keyword search. Any article that had asthma anywhere in that record will show up. This is limited only to articles that are primarily about asthma in some way. So this can be a very helpful way for you to narrow your search down, especially if you're searching for something that's often mentioned but not every article is primarily about it. Well, I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you have any questions, I want to reiterate that I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you succeed. I'm here to help you do research. And I'd be happy to help with citation or narrowing a topic or other components of the research process. I encourage you to take me up on this. You can ask me almost anything. And if you ask me what the purpose of man's existence is, I'll probably tell you it's a little above my pay grade, but anything else I'll be happy to take a crack at. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed watching.